Whew, it is warm in here.
Well, you have your coat on.
Yes. Oh, do I? How did that happen?
Because it's cold out.
Yes. It is. It's a bit nipply out. I mean nippy out. What did I say? Nipple? There is a nip in the air, though.
Can I take something out for you?
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC 269, Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira. We're going to break down the main event. We're giving out a client play for free. We're doing a lot of things in the show today, so let's get to it. I got a lot to talk about here, as well as what we've done in the last couple of weeks, as well as another giveaway that we're going to be doing this week. So the first things first here is we're doing a giveaway here. We did the Chronicles box last week. That was up on Twitter for those that entered. Always appreciate everybody who's liking, following, subscribing, all those things. I always do appreciate that. And in return, we're giving out prizes. I'm Santa Claus over here. We're giving out prizes and we're giving out winners. So this week, if you want to get into the prize, which is the Super Box, it is amazing. I have one. It is really fantastic. You get every sports package, football, baseball, basketball, whatever it is on there. You get every game as well as every single pay-per-view. It's fantastic. One of my friends actually is in with this company. They sell a lot of them. So if you want one and you just want to buy one, let me know. I can definitely hook you up. But besides that, we're going to be giving one away for free. And the way you do that is go onto Twitter, follow me at Kyle Anthony UFC, and from there you need to like this post, retweet this post, and then as well as make sure you're following me on Twitter, and then in the comment section let me know who's going to win and what round. If you're right, I ship that out to you. So definitely head on over there after the show and we will get going and enter into that contest there. Free giveaway, you gotta love that. But besides for that, we are coming off another winning performance, 2-0 last week on our client plays. And, we had Jose Aldo, plus 135. We talked about it on the show here. He ended up coming in there, cashing for us, as well as my big play, my best bet play was Rafael Fiziev, 4% play, 4% best bet, and he ended up coming through for as well at minus 110. So really seeing it here over the last 11 client play releases. I'm 10-1. Over the last 23 weeks, I have 18 cashes over those 23 weeks. It has really been a great showing here. And even over the last 30 days, we're over 30 plus units. So really cashing in here, want to finish off strong. So let's get into it. Let's talk the main event. I'm going to talk about another play as well as the fate of the card. So let's get into it all right now. And the first thing we're going to talk about is Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira. And this is a fight here where there is a lot of different kind of, just hearing people and seeing people talk on Twitter, they're very, you either really like Charles Oliveira and he goes out there and everyone thinks he's going to smoke him, or you think, Poirier, he's going to go out there, he's going to just knock him out in the first round. There's just, if you're on one side, you're really breaking it down and you really feel that guy's going to win. So we're going to break that all down here now. So the first thing we're going to do, and what we always do on the show, is we break down 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other fighter, if the line makes sense to place a wager. So we've got right now, you've got Dustin Poirier, who is a minus 170. You've got Charles is coming back at plus 140, somewhere in that range. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is Dustin Poirier. We're going to talk Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker. Now this is really an intriguing fight. And this is a fight here that was, fight of the year, and these guys are just brawling throughout this, a classic fight. But you go in here and breaking this fight down really early that you did see the leg kicks. And that's something, again, we talk about a lot. And I'm probably going to talk about it a couple times here on the show about different reasons I like it, as well as who's using more of it. And both of these guys really implemented that early. Looking to chop at the legs, looking to land big shots there. They both walked forward. They were both landing big shots. Neither guy was really backpedaling at any point. And I thought that was really interesting for the most part, because by round 2, middle of it, both these guys were bloodied up, battered. Nobody was backing up. It was really a great fight. But the piece here that I think a lot of people kind of overlook a little bit is in that second round where Dustin was doing damage. Dustin was landing some big shots. Hooker looked hurt. He was bleeding early. Both of them were bleeding early. But in the end of that second round, Hooker had him. I mean, if that fight ended up going another 20 seconds in the end of that second round, I think Dan Hooker wins that fight. He was landing big shots, pushing forward, had Poirier up against the fence, you know, landing bombs, landing big shots. And Poirier, again, one of his biggest weapons is the fact he is so damn durable. He can take big shots. He's not scared to kind of go in there and, you know, take one to give one kind of thing, because he knows his chin's there. He knows his boxing is there. He's got good head movement. You know, he's really, really solid when it comes to that, his stand-up skills. But he ended up almost finishing him in that first round, which, again, very interesting how close that was. You know, Poirier was kind of hunched over, leaning on his legs here because he was just exhausted, and it almost was Dan Hooker going into the next fight. But then into that third, fourth, fifth round, very close, very, very, very close fight. But the one thing, again, and another takeaway here, although Poirier came out there, he showed his durability, Hooker showed his durability, and they ended up getting into the going to a decision. Poirier gets it. But a piece of that is that Hooker got 4 takedowns in that fight. Now, some of them he didn't fully secure. Some of them he didn't, really pile up the damage. But the fact that Dan Hooker, who is predominantly a striker, is getting these takedowns on Poirier, to me, somebody like Charles Oliveira, who may not need many takedowns, if he gets into those certain positions, that could be a problem. So that is something definitely to keep in mind when we wrap kind of the breakdown of all this all up. So he goes out there, and Dustin Poirier does beat Dan Hooker. Now, these 2 fights here, I'm not going to dive into them. This is Conor McGregor 2 and 3, and on the second one that they had, there's not much to break down here. I thought Poirier looked fantastic. I thought McGregor looked terrible. I mean, a lot of people are kind of talking, hey, that first round was somewhat close. You could just see that Conor was out of rhythm. I mean, he wasn't really, there really wasn't much going on there. Poirier's going for takedowns, really just giving Conor such different looks where he thought, hey, it's going to be a boxing, it's going to be a kickboxing match. And Poirier does a great job by kind of, pivoting, moving around, giving different looks. Into that second round, it was just all Dustin Poirier. The leg kicks, again, landing big shots. Conor was completely confused on really what to do or how to defend those, and he ends up just sparking him in that second round, drops him, fight over. Dustin Poirier wins via knockout. And then 3 fights, or their third fight, was Conor McGregor again. They fought again. Not going to dive into this one because, again, it's not really saying too much, but Dustin Poirier, the broken leg, however that happened, we don't need to kind of dive into that because you can't really cap that. There's nothing to cap, in my opinion, there. So for me, you go out there, he did the job. Conor didn't really, again, looked kind of like Conor, an unmotivated Conor. Dustin looked great. He did his portion. He goes out there, he gets the victory. Doctor stoppage due to the leg. But let's move on. On the other side, we've got Charles Oliveira, and now on that side there, 3 fights ago, he fought Kevin Lee. Now, this was a great fight here to really take a look at just really the elevation and the evolving over the last 4 or 5 fights, probably about more 4 fights. Charles has really put it together. And what I like, I've seen it from him, is the striking. Just really the kind of getting to the next level of his striking. That's been a problem where we're kind of saying, hey, he's elite when it comes to grappling, but, he's just going to look to get there. He really, has stepped it up. And in this fight here, you saw early in that first round against Kevin Lee, he's doing spinning attacks. He felt really, really, really comfortable wherever the fight was going. And that's a big advantage for a guy like Oliveira, who can walk anybody down because they don't care about, hey, if you're going to take me down, I'm fine being down there. But I'm fine also pressuring you and putting you in uncomfortable positions. And that's kind of what Charles was trying to do early in the fight. I thought he looked good. He was outlanding Kevin Lee early, and then, Kevin Lee into that second round got a takedown. The one thing, though, that Charles does sometimes is when he's on his back, he's just hunting submissions, and that's something that has worked really well for him over his career because he's able to kind of go out there, get these submission victories, hunt them at any point. A lot of guys looking for, ground and pound. He grabs an arm, fight over. So he did a little bit too much of that. Kevin Lee has a lot of strength, so that kind of helped keep the positioning there. He obviously has the grappling background. But going into that third round, Kevin Lee felt, hey, I had success with the takedown. He goes for the takedown, which again, Kevin Lee, his gas tank, very iffy. He jumps into a guillotine, and that was the end of that. As Oliveira, you don't, and that's the thing there, you don't need to give him too much of a window, because if you make one mistake on any kind of takedown or any kind of thing, he grabs a limb, ends the fight. So he goes up there into that third round, gets the submission victory, and there you have it there. And then 2 fights ago, he fought Tony Ferguson. Now this one, don't have to dive into this one either, but this was an absolute domination by Charles Oliveira. I mean, he just looked fantastic. The big issue here was, hey, you know, Tony Ferguson is very, very well-rounded. He is lethal on the ground. He is durable. He's got these incredibly, you know, unorthodox striking. Is this going to give somebody like Charles a problem? Because obviously you got to give Ferguson the better striking when you talk about these two guys. And really, you saw Charles looked great. I mean, he looked fantastic out there. He dominated, got the takedowns, got positioning. I mean, if Ferguson wasn't so goddamn tough, he would have tapped early in the fight. You know, arms and legs in these different positions that probably shouldn't be going that direction. But he's tough as nails. He ended up kind of lasting into that third round, I mean, into the decision. But it was just dominating. I think it was 30-26 out of the 3 rounds. I mean, he was just absolutely mauling the hell out of Ferguson, which is so impressive and shows, again, he's looking great on the stand-up, and then he's also kind of, again, putting it together with the grappling, with his high elite level ground game, but he goes out there and gets decision victory. And then most recently he fought he fought Michael Chandler. This one here, now, I feel like this fight is another spot that people are really overlooking. I think hey, he got the victory, he almost got finished, you know, a lot of that is, you know, Charles almost got finished, you know, hey, what's his chin like, or what, you know, there's a lot of question marks here. To me, I look at it the other way. I thought that this was impressive because not only did Charles, you know, again, he was looking to kind of, mix it up in the pocket with Chandler, who has massive power. But early in that fight, again, the leg kicks again. But you did see this time, you saw Charles Oliveira do it. He was the one landing the leg kicks, almost dropped. I think he landed 2 early, and both of them, or one of them, dropped Chandler. He kind of was almost shocked at the power of the kick, that he was almost looking to kind of check it, wasn't prepared for it, dropped them. But here's a spot where then, you know, they're trying to get the takedowns. Charles gets the takedown, and then you've got, you know, the strength of Chandler, but Chandler, you know, he's got the wrestling background. He is a big, strong guy. So he's able to kind of maneuver, but it just shows how smooth of the transitions that Charles does on the ground. I mean, he went from side control to back, back control to almost looking like the fight was going to be over. He was going to get the finish there. He looked fantastic there where he was trying to get that finish. You don't want him on your back by any means. So he goes out. He has a good showing there. Once they get it stand up. Now that Chandler, he did, you know, again, he's got that wrestling, he's got that background, so he can counter some of this. And again, he's strong enough where he can kind of pull himself out of those positionings. He ends up getting out of that position, and that's almost where I think Charles looked a little, you know, taken back by how good he was able to get out. I mean, you've got Charles Oliveira in your back, fight's probably going to end. Chandler gets out of that, that's credit to him. Then he lands the big shot. He landed the big shot, it almost, you know, looked like it rocked Charles for a little bit, and that was where almost, you know, looked like the fight could possibly end. And that was really where Chandler kind of, I think, he gave himself, so, you know, he really had confidence. You know, it looked like maybe he was close to ending that fight. He had a lot of confidence going that second round. Now again, this check left hook from Charles Oliveira is absolutely perfection. How smooth he landed that. Now again, this is a grappler. He threw a beautiful shot that drops Chandler, and he ends up finishing it. It rocked him, finishes the fight, swarms on him, gets the takedown. Gets the knockdown, finishes the fight over early in the second round. And I thought that's impressive. And you've got to give credit to Charles in this knockout here, because you just saw Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje. That was an absolute war. And you saw there, Justin's landing bombs. I mean, Justin is landing big bombs, and still Chandler's there. He's landing leg kicks. Chandler's there. He's landing, nice big hooks on Chandler. Chandler's still there. But to see Oliveira land a big shot, drop him, where again, you did see a lot of power coming from Gaethje and hurting Chandler, and he did beat Chandler. But this says a lot. It's a big feather in his cap, going out there and getting the finish of Michael Chandler. So credit to him there. So there you have it there with that. Now, with that all being said, Obviously, we know Dustin Poirier, elite level when it comes to boxing. I mean, his footwork, his range, he's got power. He's able to really, now add those leg kicks. We've seen that he's really utilizing it more and more and more. He's utilizing these leg kicks. He's trying to find a mixture in of throwing a leg kick and then working up top. He's doing that really great. Also, the durability of him, very high. Again, he can take the big shots. It's almost like the guy doesn't feel pain, the way that he takes shots and keeps moving forward. So on that side, the other side, obviously, elite level grappler for Charles. And the improved striking, I think, is really, really going to be a possible difference maker in this fight on Saturday night. And then also the submission hunting. I mean, not only the fact that he's really kind of bringing that to a next tier on his striking, but he's also really always submission hunting wherever the fight is. He is just transitioning from one to another until he either gets it or you get out of it. So that's also another path here, which is very, very worrisome for somebody like Dustin Poirier. Now, with that being said, I think the first thing here really comes down to the comfort level at which Charles Oliveira is. Now, when you're looking at how he fights, he's comfortable anywhere, and the biggest reason is he does not have to worry about takedowns. Now, you've got somebody he's going up against Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier, big boxer, he's well-rounded, there's no doubt he's got grappling credentials, not near Charles Oliveira, but he's got credentials. He's definitely well-rounded, he's well-versed. But the fact that Charles can throw some of these crazy kicks and some of these crazy things, I think that gives more of a, hey, take me down, or I'm not worried about it. So the fact that he can move forward freely, not worry about any of that, where I think someone like against Michael Chandler, he was worried about that. That was something where Charles said, hey, this guy's great wrestler, he's strong, I don't want this guy on top of me. And the same thing with Kevin Lee. He was kind of a little bit more timid, where you've got a guy who's a wrestler who can kind of cut that distance, get the level change. Here, I don't see that. And it would be absolutely, dumb of Dustin at any point to look for a takedown, because he will just get out grappled. And I don't think it's going to take much for Charles, once he's in that position, to get the submission. If they're scrambling on the ground, that's not where Dustin wants to be. But you add in the fact that Dustin was taken down 4 times by Dan Hooker. Now, I know that it wasn't like that he, dominated, he was Khabibing him and mauling him, but the fact he's getting the fight there, the fact that he's capable of getting the fight there, I think that's, again, that's going to help Charles. If he can get the fight there, and if Dan Hooker, who's a predominantly striker, can get the fight there, I think Charles will at some point. He's not going to be just ankle picking all fight, because I think that he's going to blend it in very well, and you've seen him do that. He's seen him really kind of blend in these takedowns behind some of these strikes. So I think that is very, very big. Also, the fact that Dustin squares up a lot. Now, Dustin's a boxer. He likes to get wide. He likes to throw the big hooks. I think squaring up is going to be a bad thing for him. I think that helps Charles again. I think that's going to open up the leg kicks for him. I think it's going to open up the takedowns for him. I think that's going to really help him, Charles help him. The fact that that's kind of the style at which Poirier fights, I think that's going to help him. The squaring up is going to leave opportunities for level changes. But also, your side of it, you've got the fact that Charles, out of his last 9 victories, 8 came by finish, 5 by submission, 3 by knockout. I mean, that's pretty damn impressive, if you say so myself. And also, I would say that the Charles Oliveira fight, the Michael Chandler fight for Charles was a tougher fight than Poirier is. I think Poirier is actually, don't get me wrong, Poirier is a world-class fighter, not knocking this guy at any means, big fan of his, but I think this is an easier fight than the Michael Chandler fight. I think that this is definitely an easier fight for him, and if you're going to be giving me plus money on a champion with more weapons and probably more paths to victory, you got to go the champ here. You got to go Charles Oliveira here. You got to go at plus 140. I think, to me, no way can I see putting, betting at minus 170 on Dustin Poirier here. Great fighter, big fan of his, but I think here it's a great spot to take Oliveira. He's not the sexy pick. Everyone likes, Poirier. They're fans of him and what he does and just his aura about him. Charles is the champ. I think this is, again, great spot for him here. So as a client play and as a free play, I am doing Charles Oliveira plus 140. Now, the other fight we'll quickly talk about here is we're going to talk about Tai Tuivasa versus Augusto Sakai. This is at a pick'em price right here, and that's kind of why I want to talk about it real quickly, and this is going to be another free play that I want to talk about just because there's a couple things here that I think really pushes me one way. Now, the biggest thing here when we're talking about these two guys is really going to be the elevation for Tai Tuivasa. I think he's looked really great since he's I know he's made some different changes with camps and adding certain pieces to his camp, and I think that's really started to help him here. Now, he lost 3 straight fights, and then he was on the chopping block, and then he then he went 3 straight, I think they're all first round knockouts, but 3 straight knockout victories. Looked great, looked a little more calm in the pocket, a little bit more relaxed. Yes, the Hardy fight, not the Dan Hardy, Greg Hardy fight. The Greg Hardy fight was was kind of a brawl, but it showed that even there he was able to kind of land a big shot. He's got the power, and Tai Tuivasa definitely has started to kind of bring that all together. Where you've got on the other side, you've got Augusto Sakai. Now, Augusto Sakai's coming off back-to-back knockout losses and brutal knockout losses. I mean, Overeem mauled him to death on the ground, and ended up getting a victory there. And then you had Rosenstruck, who knocked him out in the first round, and that Rosenstruck loss, I mean, that's something that, I think it says a lot. One being the fact that Augusto Sakai was absolutely backpedaling the entire fight. And that to me is already, he's questioning certain things. And the big thing with Augusto Sakai is he's great being the hammer. He is not good being the nail. He likes to be the guy with the heavier hands, the walking you down, not worried about the power coming back. When he starts getting that, that's where he kind of gets out of place. He doesn't, he's kind of having issues with that. And I think that really showed a lot. So you've got a position here where you've got Augusto Sakai who, likes to be the pushing forward. You've got a guy in Tai Tuivasa who doesn't give a shit about coming forward, throwing big shots, and anytime he's faced guys with the heavy hands is when Augusto has kind of pulled back a little bit, been a little bit more timid. So coming off 2 knockout losses, and then at this point now, you're going to be facing another knockout guy, another heavy-handed fighter who will brawl, who will push forward. That's going to scare the living daylights out of Sakai in the pocket if he does kind of the same strategy that he's done against somebody like Rosenstruck, where he's backpedaled and he's allowed the other fighter kind of dictate the pace. But the big part here now why I like Tai Tuivasa is the fact that he throws calf kicks. Now, we've talked about it a lot here, but heavyweights don't really throw calf kicks. You don't really see that happening. You don't really see guys doing it. For the most part, guys are, it's boxing. It's boxing with some kicks. It's boxing with some kicks. You know what I mean? That's kind of been the heavyweight division in general. And the fact he's done that, and the fact he's added that, over the last 3 fights that he's had, you saw that really opened up the big shots for Tuivasa. He'll really, start a combination or end a combination with a leg kick. You take a couple of those from those big tree trunk legs of Tuivasa, you're going to start worrying about that, and that's when the pressure, that's when the power starts coming forward. That's when he can walk you down, and the headshots will start to be there for him. The last few fights, you've shown that's where guys kind of backpedal and say, holy shit, that hurt. I'm going to start worrying about this. And again, heavyweights don't really throw leg kicks. So I love having that weapon with the power and with the pressure that Sakai's not going to want to have. You also added the fact that Tuivasa has worked out a lot with Daniel Cormier. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be out there wrestling for 3 rounds because Tuivasa won't be able to, but he could go out there and utilize some of that. Now, we saw Sakai go up against Overeem, and Overeem is a striker, and he just kind of took him down, with ease. And once he got in there, Sakai looked lost. Sakai didn't have a clue how to get up, what to do. He just kind of took the big shots until he couldn't take them anymore. Bleeding all over the place. This is a spot here where I think Tuivasa could add that in and just look to get a takedown and ground and pound, because if Sakai can't get up, it doesn't matter. If he can get up against Overeem, who, again, I'm sure it seemed like he was kind of a thing he started to do, kind of look for those takedowns. But Tuivasa, if he can get, muscle his way and get Sakai down, that's going to be another path to victory here. So for me here, I like Tai Tuivasa. It's a pick'em. I think it's a great spot for him. So this is going to be a free play for me here. I like Tai Tuivasa at -120. And if you're looking for a little bit more in there, maybe a little sprinkle on the KO at +145. Now, the fade of the card. Now, we're coming off fade of the card. Last week was Brandon Allen, who was -355 against Chris Curtis. And Chris Curtis goes out there and gets the victory. And, again, these are not plays that I'm, sometimes I'll put a little sprinkle on some of these or that kind of thing. But for the most part, I see the line, I say, I'm staying the hell away from this line. I'm looking to place my money in other spots. Whether we all do these bigger parlays, that's what this is about. Who's the parlay buster? I think Alex Perez could be the parlay buster this week. He's minus 340 up against Matt Schnell, who's plus 260. Now, I know, listen, I know, I can hear you through the screen. I know you're saying Matt Schnell is not good. He's frail. This is going to be a walkthrough for Perez. But Perez should win. There's no doubt. I would lean Perez to say, hey, he should get the win. But this line is way too wide for me here, and here's some reasons why here. Now, the first thing here is I think the line is set at this price because Chanel's chin. I mean, that chin, a gust of wind has knocked this guy down. So that I think is baked into this price where, you know what, you've got someone like Perez who's gonna brawl, who's definitely the better striker between the two. And that's going to be an issue. Also with the grappling, Chanel's the kind of guy who's going to look for those takedowns, who's going to look to kind of level change or at least mix that in some way, and then, utilize some of the grappling that he has. But then you've got Perez who has the wrestling, who has the ability to kind of defend those takedowns. So I think that also helps in this spot too. As well as Perez is a guy that will be willing, will have the better striking just in general. He'll just have the better striking in general. So a lot of good things kind of go to the Perez side. But if you're talking on the other side with Matt Schnell here, and the reason why I'm saying you should probably stay away from Alex Perez, is the first thing here is the grappling. Now, if the fight does get to the ground, I like Matt Schnell down there. I mean, he, again, not the sexiest pick there, but I think Matt Schnell has the opportunity to kind of go out there on the ground and find success if he can get it there. That's the big question there. And I like the volume of Schnell. I think Schnell always is active. He's always active on the feet. He's always bouncing around. He's always looking to land the shots. He doesn't have this big power. His arms are very, very... he's like a skeleton out there. But again, he puts the volume out there. Even against Tyson Nan, he kept the volume going. Bobbing and weaving, has nice footwork, kept the volume going here. But I think a big part of this is if the fact that, hey, the wrestling or both these guys' ground games kind of nullify each other out. I like the fact that if they're standing, the 5-inch reach advantage for Schnell is going to help. Now, again, that's not an end-all be-all, but the 5-inch reach advantage is very, very wide. And you add in the volume that Schnell is going to be putting out. He's going to be pumping out a lot of volume, and that could put kind of Perez in this situation where is he going to look for the takedown? If he's kind of on the outside and can't cut that distance, and again, Matt Schnell's not this elite level striker, but if he can't kind of cut that distance inside that 5-inch reach, if he does it, he may be on the outside kind of throwing big shots and not able to land, or you've got this opportunity if Perez looks for the takedown and says, hey, I'm going to cut the distance. That's kind of, Schnell's okay being on the ground. So it puts Perez in a tough spot overall. And I think that also, I think that, if this fight, if he's going to have to cut that distance, this fight in the bigger cage, I think also that could help too. So peppering from the outside, using that 5-inch reach advantage, I think really, really does help him. I think this fight is going to be closer than this line indicates. I mean, minus 340, but I just don't think Perez, even adding him to a parlay, is even worth it. This fight, I think, is much, much closer here. And I may actually sprinkle a little bit on Schnell here, but this is a spot here where I just say stay the heck away from Perez. There's a lot of great spots on here to bet. I've got a bunch of plays right now up on Wagertalk. There's just a lot that I like in this spot here. So for me here, I'm saying tread lightly on Alex Perez. Just be careful. But as my fade of the card is Alex Perez minus 340. Stay the fuck away. So that is my plays for UFC 269. If you want my check my plays out, my client plays on Wagertalk, link down in the description. I'm giving out a 4% play for $2. Again, it's a season of giving, right? So I'm giving out all kinds of stuff. So that will be up there as well as a 5% play. I'm 4-0 on 5% plays. So got a lot going on. Take a look. Link down in the description if you're interested. And again, if you want to get involved with the giveaway, take a look at my Twitter. They're going to have everything up over there. So let's see how we do. Let's see if we can go 19 of 24 weeks. Let's see if we keep this going here. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.